Hey, it's me, this. And I was gonna do this video regardless because at some point I would have to. There's no real way I could put a window dressing around this, but I am been hearing some really stupid people out there saying some of the most intensely stupid things. Like, the PlayStation 4 not able to do backwards compatibility. What's wrong with you, Sony? Well, you want to know the truth why the PlayStation 4 can't do PlayStation 3 games? The specs of the PlayStation 4 CPU, not the GPU, but the CPU, is weaker than the PlayStation 3 CPU. And when I mean weak, I mean that if you were to run cell architecture of even emulate it on the spec on the so-called CPU on the PlayStation 4, yeah, enjoy watching sparks come out of your machine. Well, even though the PlayStation 4 right now, and no, they're not going to change because if they're going to go with the AMD x86 64-bit processing, it still won't have enough power, no matter how high, because the cell processor was way, way, way overpowered. And its architecture is impossible to emulate. Seriously and completely impossible. You're never going to get backwards compatibility unless you stream it. That's the only way. Now, as for backwards compatibility with PlayStation 1 and 2, that is possible. And what confuses me is how they say, oh, it's going to cost more money. No, it ain't. It ain't going to cost you a dime, Sony. I mean, and not only that, the PlayStation 2 and 1 are not even out in market anymore. I mean, you're not going to be able to emulate the PlayStation 3's games for at least two or three other consoles, which begs the difference that maybe we'll see re-releases on the PlayStation 4, like, the whole Mass Effect trilogy being re-released on the PlayStation 4 library, which makes, that whole, oh, I just got the Mass Effect trilogy on the PlayStation 3 kind of useless. But it's just not going to happen, no matter how hard they try. There's, in the amount of money to take to make the console even compatible with the PlayStation 3 would literally mean swapping out the processor with the cell, meaning another cell processor within the PS4, which Sony doesn't want to do and can't afford. It's just not going to happen. So, no backwards compatibility with PlayStation 3. But I do understand everybody complaining about compatibility with PlayStation 1 and 2. That doesn't make any sense that Sony's going to stream those as well when they can clearly make it possible. What the fuck, Sony? And then, hearing from certain individuals out there who clearly don't understand processors and how they work, and basically going back to the old Mac versus PC. Remember when Apple used to have Power PC chips in them, and YouTube just first started, and a lot of people were just putting up those videos saying Power PC processors inside those Macs is the main reason why it sucks, and it just doesn't compare with the x86 processing. It's got so much developers and all that other shit. Well, I'm hearing the same thing between Nintendo and the new PlayStation 4 and PC gaming are not clearly understanding, why the Power PC processor lost to the x86 processors. And it had nothing to do with power. Here's the funny part. The Power PC processor actually has more power and got the 64-bit well before x86 even got to it. In fact, the cell processor is 10 times more powerful. I mean, no, did I say cell? I meant the Power PC processor. The cell is a completely different processor in itself. Even though it used parts from the Power PC, it used a completely different architectural design that confused all of their developers and was completely abstract. But with the Power PC processor, you know, some game developers understood it because, well, Apple had it in their computers before they went Intel, and there's a good reason why Apple went Intel. But if you want a processor that can go coincide next to the x86 processors, PowerPC processors were yeah, they were it. But the reason why they sort of died out and Apple switched to Intel had nothing to do with the power. It had everything to do with manufacturing. Basically, meaning, with the old shareholders or the old patent holders of it, which was Apple, IBM, and Motorola, they couldn't produce enough PowerPC processors to compact to get in how many x86 processors that were being shoved out by Intel, and then later by AMD, which made matters worse. Basically, for every one PowerPC processor that was being manufactured, Intel and AMD could process maybe 20 to 12 to 20 processors and sell them all at a very low price, which was not that good. And the fact that, the three companies that owned the PowerPC processor was, kind of jacked up the prices on them. Yeah, bad business decisions on Apple, Motorola, and IBM's part also hurt the PowerPC processor too, but also incredibly slow manufacturing. And after Apple gave up their rights to their patent on the PowerPC processor and gave it to Motorola and IBM, IBM and Motorola decided to fuck with Apple and, not be able to produce PowerPC processors, making Apple unable to sell Macs for at least good 2 years, really hurting their profits. Basically, Apple's production line literally stopped, thanks to IBM and Motorola fucking with them. After that, Apple switched to Intel and Motorola went batshit crazy. Basically, long story short, Motorola doesn't believe that the internet was the future anymore and gave the rest of their patents to IBM and, well, told some lady that, we're not going to do internet stuff. Bad decision on Motorola's part. Now Motorola Mobile is owned by Google. Yeah, put that concept around your head. But after seeing Blackpon up there basically saying, oh, but the x86 processor is more powerful than those PowerPC processors. No, it wasn't. In fact, the PowerPC processors could even coincide next to x86 thanks to Apple and the fact that it was in their computers. It was just slow manufacturing that caused the PowerPC processing to die. And the cell processor had little to do with the PowerPC processing than taking a couple of parts and putting them in their cell, like taking parts from a Lamborghini and putting it in your car. But you have a completely different car that, nobody knows how to drive. And that's what happened with the cell. And that's why it's such a clusterfuck. And that's why it doesn't have backwards compatibility. And the fact that it was extremely overpowered. Its graphics processor was a shit fest. Weak as hell. So emulating PlayStation 3 on PlayStation 4 is going to be impossible at best. And Sony's not going to put another cell processor in their PlayStation 4. Not after the mess that happened with the PlayStation 3. No fucking way that's going to happen again. Is the PlayStation 4 more powerful than the Wii U? Yes, it is. In hearing Dr. Dre's description about the CPUs and the long trek line, that was stupid. The CPU in the PlayStation 4 is far more powerful than the Wii U's by a long shot. But I don't care or want to care. I like my Wii U. It's a fun console, and the fact that the PlayStation 4 has better specs means shit to me. But this whole idiocy about the PowerPC being underpowered than the x86 processor is bullshit. The real reason why the PowerPC processor died was because they couldn't manufacture enough of them to compete with the x86 processors that were just, you know, being over manufactured and could be just thrown out there by a whole bucket load of just x86 processors. There's just no way, manufacturing wise, there was no way. Um, well, manufacturing and a few business decision mistakes that, you know, that the Power PC processor could just compete against something like that. It's just no way. See ya.